Hey guys, welcome back to Three Swords Productions. We are here with round 2 in Arlington IRL Regional. A bit of a mouthful there. 852 players today. So if you are not subscribed to the channel already, hit subscribe to get notified when all 10 rounds go up throughout the day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we got a fun one here. We got Luis on Doflamingo and Brandon on Smoker.
Okay, all right. That's a really interesting matchup.
It's not the most common, but it's gonna be pretty fun.
Highly represented deck at the beginning of the meta, and then certainly not so much anymore. So it'd be really fun to see Smoker on stream, and also against Doflamingo, which you really don't see every day.
Yeah,
it's gonna be,
you really don't.
It's gonna be a really fun one. All right, let's pop over and see what they got. Go on.
Yeah. Yep. So there was a little bit of a deck check, so I think we're just cleaning up from that here. But yeah, we've got Smoker versus Doflamingo. What are we kind of expecting here? What kind of action can we see out of the Doflamingo player here?
Certainly Doflamingo is, if it's going to want to use its ability early in the game, it's going to want to draw those opening abilities to stack the deck. Perona, you know, you also have like 3-drop Doflamingo, as well as the new one-cost Doflamingo, which could actually start putting cards from your opponent's side back to the bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. And from the Smoker side, we're going to try and capitalize on those early 1-drops that they play to help stack the deck so that we can get in for some powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so, you know, the existence of those one-cost enablers for the Doflamingo side is going to absolutely help the Smoker get to 7K to be able to attack Doflamingo in a strong way every turn. So we will see Smoker take advantage of that throughout the course of the game.
All right, and we got a die roll.
Looks like
a little tough to see. I think it was a 7.
7.
And that looks like a 6 on there and a 2. So I think Luis has the option here, the Doflamingo
now,
player.
do you go first or second with Doflamingo?
Oh, that's a tough one, actually. Doflamingo does like to play a little bit of a tempo game, so getting out an early aggressive start could be very strong, especially before something like Sakazuki's could start coming down to really answer what's going on. And also being able to get an early 4-drop plays around the Kobe, right?
Yeah, so early 4-drop, but also if you go first, then you get to turn 1, you know, Perona, stack your deck the correct way, and then turn 2, you can play another Perona or new Doflamingo and use your leader ability. Actually, your leader ability is 3 total, Don. So
true, yes.
You would be spending that entire turn doing that, but that is an option for if you go second on your second turn.
Yep.
You would get to do that.
Yeah, I think Doflamingo is one of the rare cases so far that we've seen in the set that going first is probably correct.
Okay. So we'll see what he chooses here.
I think he already took 1 mulligan, so we'll have to look to that.
Yep.
And
on Smoker's side, what are you looking to start the game with?
Boy. You're probably going to want to make sure that you have creatures that are going to be able to attack back pretty well. Something like Kuzan. Kobe's lose a little bit of power, but once you get to like 5-ish Dawn, you can start using like your ability of your leader to help reduce the cost to then Kobe to get around that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Sakazuki's always the house, right? It's always the closer of the games that feels good.
Sakazuki in this matchup is going to come down very clutch. Kobe as well, going to hit a lot of the forecasts that you know, we're trying to put into play here.
Yeah.
With the leader ability, of course.
Absolutely.
Some screen flicker there. Sorry about that, guys. All right, and we're going to see what we open with here.
Yeah. As well as see who's going first here. Deciding what the
well, we have our keeps already.
Sure.
Our hands have been kept.
Yep. So we're just waiting on Dawn then. There we go. All right. So we are going first with Dofi. Looking for any of his opening plays.
Okay, it's just going to pass.
Ooh, after a mulligan, that's definitely rough.
See the 1-drop blocker law in the deck already. That's going to be pretty good against stopping Smoker in the final turns if he's able to hold that for long enough. Smoker going to spend a lot of its resources clearing your bigger threats, and just going to have to kind of attack through. We are going to see just a blind Doflamingo flip here. Kind of bold on turn 1, but we'll see what happens. And that was a miss.
Yeah, I think that was a pacifista.
So it will...
Stays on top. Yep. All right. And Smoker player says okay.
Okay, and that was an attack for 7, which Brandon's just going to take. And we are seeing Porcelino in his hand. So we're going to turn 4.
Definitely
Perhaps
solid.
We'll see Porcelino. Kind of a good one there. All right.
little bit of a grip full. I see a couple blockers coming in for 5.
Swinging 5, just see what he does. You know, a little tester's swing, and he just takes the damage. I think that's smart. You kind of want to go to 3 life and stabilize there. Definitely, if your hand wasn't good enough with the enablers on turn 1, then getting a card off life makes a lot of sense to me.
Absolutely, I think so. Going up to 5. Now's the hope that we could see something like a Perona came off life to play to stack the deck to then use the mana to flip. But instead, it looks like we're just opting for a 4-drop.
Boa Hancock.
Boa, yep. And then coming across for 1. Or
Swinging
for 6.
For 6,
yeah.
yep. And that contests the Borsellino that's blocking on the other side. So if you want to block, you are going to have to expend a card for it. Brandon's saying, no, I'm comfortable going to 3. I'm still looking for more resources. Oh, okay. And we see the impact there.
Yeah, very nice. Good triggers are often a swinging part of games,
you know
especially
what?
against Doflamingo.
Against Doflamingo, they really take a while to rev up the board, and you are spending 4 Dawn on that, or 3 to get a 4-cost out. So those free destructions on the Smoker side is going to be critical against him.
Yeah,
so we're going to have to see how the Doflamingo recovers from that.
Coming across for 5, and we see a counter out.
Marshall Teach discarded. Teach would have been good at bouncing some blockers in the mid to late game here, so we'll see if he does end up regretting that.
Took the Borsellino.
Second Borsellino. And the 6K blockers here are going to come in pretty clutch against Doflamingo. Often they're putting in 4Ks, 5Ks.
And then the
new Gecko Moria is actually a 6K, so that will add some pressure.
Yes. And then we see another blocker out of it. So we are just creating our wall of black characters in the way of what's going on.
And Brandon's pacing is really beautiful here. 5K it swings, and then just across the board.
Okay, and we finally found a 3-drop Doflamingo to stack the top of our deck, hopefully, in a way that we can start utilizing our leader ability pretty well.
We do still have the Dawn also to get the Doflamingo trigger successfully. So if we see him put him on the bottom of the deck here, that probably means he doesn't have anything to add to the table.
Boy, that would be unfortunate.
Yes. Very, very upsetting start for the Doflamingo, today.
Okay.
So he did stack it, left it on top, and we're going to see an attack for 7 here.
And the trigger, and what do we get?
Okay, we're going to put Pacifista into play.
No. Yeah, no. Okay, and then counters out of the attack. Yeah, sure. And the law finally does come down to help contest because
nice
our life
curve
is
that
getting
turn,
low.
with the 3-drop Dofi into leader ability and finally Trafalgar Law.
Yeah.
All right. So we still have plenty of attacks here. We are seeing blockers come down, which are resources out of Dofi's hands, but so far, this could create the kind of tempo that Doflamingo needs in order to land 7 drops or 9 drops coming up here. Well, so we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, do we start caring about the board, or do we continue attacking towards the face as a Smoker deck here, you think?
Well, I think you're still leaving up even pressure as we go, and so we're going to leave up, just go ahead and eliminate that. We'll see if he has it to put into play, and he does. So that can be a little upsetting when you actually do make that attack and don't expect them to have it. But you know what? We're keeping up even pressure here, and that was another card taken out of his hands. So,
true.
He does have the blocker on board to be able to block that attack. On the swing back, so that will be nice for him. As well as Borsellinos are going to stay 6Ks, so it makes it a little bit harder for them to attack up, especially for the 4K Doflamingo to swing on it. So it's harder to make those choices.
And then we saw the law block on the leader there. That was a 7K because it activated previously in the turn. And
like the use of the dice there to track the additional 1K counter, so we it's not forgotten.
Sure. And then it looks like we have about 4 Dawn left. That's a great number for the black deck. We have a lot of 6. So we got a lot of powerful effects.
Yeah, we can do Sakazuki. We can do some Kobe plays here. Okay. And it looks like brand new Kobe to me.
Yep.
Alternate art Kobe too. So beautiful to see that so early in the tournament.
Discard, kill the Doflamingo. That is a blocker, so nice to get that out of the way.
Yep. Okay, we're going to play Tashigi to reduce costs. All right, so we are setting up.
I think it's just setting up for the next turn.
Yep.
Got a lot of attacks that could be coming in, so the Doflamingo player does have to start to worry about, hey, these are going to be the ending turns that I have to start blocking, start countering out of things before my life gets really that low.
Yeah, so like I said, Doflamingo's kind of slow to keep its board position. You know, you are going to get the leader ability every turn, but it is a little bit of a Dawn investment. And so you're leaning on those effects that either put cards back into your opponent's hand, kind of equalizing the board or swinging it into your favor. And swinging with those Borsalinos have been so incredible every turn because you're not pressured. Your life doesn't feel pressured yet. And so your opponent is having to swing up on the Borsalinos if they want to try and clear those cards, which can be really hard to do when you're already being taxed on your mana. And that early flip of Shockwave seemed to be very, very good.
Definitely a deciding factor.
So far, the Doflamingo has been behind every turn since, and we are just continuing to establish attackers every single turn on the Smoker side.
Yeah, we saw the attack in, flip on Doflamingo to get Gecko Moria out, and Gecko Moria got back the blocker law that blocked earlier. So
that was an easy protect on the Borsalino there.
Yep.
Okay, and we have another blocker there come down. All right, we are waiting to see where this last few points of Dawn are going to go.
I have to assume it's going to be towards blockers or holding up Love Beam.
Yeah, something.
Again, we are going into these ending turns where it looks like you're facing down a lot of attacks, so you need to be prepared to go for that. And yeah, just passing the turn, probably holding up a Love Beam.
Looks like we have about 5 or 6 cards in hand as well on the Doflamingo side, so can't quite see the cards that he's holding, unfortunately, but you know, we can probably suspect, hey, left 2 mana open, that's probably a Love Beam.
Generally,
plus discarding cards from your hand to counter up is going to allow you to draw more cards. So something to think about here. And we still have 2 cards coming off life as well.
Yep.
So we are going to, you know, swing on the Gecko Moria. Still trying to keep control of the board. That's a lot of discipline on Brandon's side to keep up the board presence. Recognizing one of the weaknesses for Doflamingo is that you can just stay kind of ahead of them on board.
Coming in for 5 again on the Moria. Gone. So now we have a decision. With 3 attacks left, we could start swinging towards life and really making him discard. I think holding maybe 1 Borsalino back, doing a couple attacks, testing a couple things here.
Seeing it block, we'll see if he puts another one. Oh, and another one in play.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so with all of this, I think we attack with our lead for an amount and probably leave him at 1 or so life. You don't want to give him all the options with all the cards they would get from life.
Did see that he has 5 cards in hand, so we are going to come across table for 5K here.
Okay. Yep.
And
so
he
instead,
does take that.
So instead, utilizing the fact that hey, he could drop a lot of blockers. We already know he has Law in hand. He's been holding up for Love Beam.
Yep.
So going all out probably isn't. Or going all out is good because we start to get those effects and abilities out of the hand.
And we're going to swing for 7 here, which is 2 cards or a single Love, so you could decide to just take the damage. Very, you know, that's a lot of discipline too, understanding that, hey, I do have this event card in my hand that will probably help me out. I'm still holding possibly a few 2Ks, and I will have my blocker for next turn, as well as something that I'm holding in my hand to protect me on the following turn. So going to 0, a little risky against the Sakazuki-style decks, where they can actually remove the blockers that you're trying to lean on. But you know, we'll see what he can do on this turn. He does have a lot of extra resources from the 2 cards he just picked up.
Absolutely. And I think we still know the top card of our deck, so Doflamingo should be able to still kind of work that way to help get something out.
Absolutely. Okay.
And it looks like we are going for that.
Okay, so we do know the top card of our deck. Hopefully a Martial Teach here. Okay. Another Kuma coming down.
All right, and the Shigi is down. I think that's an easy, you let that one go. Your board's already full of good characters, so.
Right, yeah. You're probably trying to clear the way for, you know, a 10-drop coming down to swing the game, or another, you know, cheaper removal from your side to clear some blockers away if they do happen to come down. And I think all attacks on the following turn are just going right to the dome. He's already at 0, so that, you know, every single attack represents cards away from him.
And letting the Kobe go, I think, is also fine.
Yep.
I think it's interesting. It looks like the Smoker player left up a bunch of Dawn, so holding up events would be the only thing that really makes sense since we did attack a lot of life last turn.
A smaller hand size, so it could just be like the cards that he wants to protect for next turn.
I see.
Rather than having things. Those attacks, that extra Dawn could have gone to you know, more power into the attacks.
Yeah.
But there were blockers, so, you know, hard to know that. Also, you could just be holding up events. It's also hard to you know, kind of predict which events your opponent might have if you leave access Dawn open.
Sure.
I'm sure Brandon had a lot on his mind with that play.
Yeah. Yeah, and we see a pass back here, still holding up the 2 Dawns, so Love Beam is still a consideration. Activating Smoker ability onto the Law there. Yep. So now we've got a 7K attacker, and just establishing how am I going to spread out this Dawn to start making him really focus in on.
We do have a lot of really big attacks here.
Yeah, the attacks.
Okay, and that is going to be our first attack for 7K here, saying, am I going to get cards out of your hand, or are you going to block me?
Yep. Attacks for 7K make it awkward. You can either discard 2 cards, or you can play a Level Beam, or use a blocker. All are super good resources and are obnoxious to get out of, so I respect it. That's an attack for 6.
For 6, very interesting sequence there.
So she's at 2K out with a...
Okay, we could just be making a really big Alpha Strike here. Okay, we are not keeping the Dawn back, not trying to go for lethal here, recognizing the Love Beam open mana here. You know, you are at 3, and your opponent does have quite a few attacks of their own, so, you know, playing really all out there could get you.
Okay.
And choosing to Love out of that to save the extra card.
Interesting.
You know.
Yeah.
You've held the Dawn open for 2 turns now.
Yeah.
It's possible that it's just time to let it go.
And here's the closer we talked about at the beginning of the match, Sakazuki coming down, deciding which card to trash from hand to be able to destroy one of your opponent's creatures here is... it's got to be pretty backbreaking for the Doflamingo player.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then turn comes right back.
That's right. So now we see 4 attackers, and we're at 3 life, and we have 1 blocker. So without dealing with the blocker, you just can't get through for lethal on this turn, which is going to guarantee Brandon has another turn of swinging for at minimum 15K.
Yes.
Power, which is quite strong after a turn where you kind of just did a similar thing. So we are going to see, you know, quite the swing on Brandon's next turn.
Okay. Doflamingo's looking at all the options. We got a bunch of cards in hand here. What can we do to help break up what's going on? We could start to attack down the board. That's probably what you have to respect.
Yes.
Attacking board plus playing blockers is probably our way out of this.
We at this point we are looking for blockers, probably multiple, so that, you know, your opponent can't get out of these attacks.
Yep. And there is the 3-drop Doflamingo coming out for an ability, stacking the top of the deck.
Okay.
I have to assume there's either going to be a lot of blockers in this hand or a lot of blockers in the top 5 that he'll keep on top,
yes.
Or if it's not, we're going to have to toss it to the bottom.
Another interesting thing, too, is that he could be looking there for more events to stack those to the top.
That's
also
fair.
If we see an additional Love in his hand, that would be one reason why he would expend a Love Beam earlier than getting the effect.
Mm-hmm.
So we could see him chain a few of these on the following turn to just barely ink out a defense against this enormous board here.
Yep. And so we saw the block with the Doflamingo there, so
multiple events will require multiple instances of 2 Dawn, so that might also affect how we're making attacks this turn.
All right. Yeah, so we have about 5 Dawn there, looks like, if we're leaving up a Love Beam, which probably leaves us with about 4 cards in hand after the Love Beam and whatever we play this turn, because I think we're about 6. Definitely a lot of pressure coming down.
Certainly both players feeling the pressure of the board state here. On either of these turns, if you overextend, you could just, lose the game on the crackback.
You're not wrong. At some point, the Doflamingo player does have to start worrying about life. His opponent does still have 3 whole life.
I think he's been worried about his own life the entire game here.
I think so too. But
the even pressure coming from Brandon's side while also keeping up the blockers have been really quite nice to watch. As well, using the Doflamingo effects to basically every turn has resulted in rebuilding the board quite a bit. So Brandon's focus has had to kind of be split here, but I think at this end game now, very interesting that he let the Borsellino go.
It was an attack for 8K on it, so it would either be 2 cards, and I think he has 1 card in hand.
One card in hands, okay.
Yeah, I don't think he can protect it. So you do let it go. Gecko Moria, I assume, gets back the Law that blocked, but looking at our options, considering.
And was that all Dawn tapped for the Gecko Moria?
Oh, okay, so it was for a 2K.
Okay,
Yeah, it
so
was all Dawn tapped.
We're getting a 2K back, and we have 1 blocker on Doflamingo's side here.
Yep, about 5 or so cards in hand, so we definitely still have to consider our options a little bit, but...
yes, it will be quite difficult to get through the blocker and also deal with the number of cards in our opponent's hand. But we are still at 3 life here with multiple cards in our own hand here. So
yeah,
let's see how Brandon chooses to attack.
I mean, still got some big attackers. The Smoker ability puts you up to 7K. The Sakazuki is a 7K, so definitely get the pressure that way.
Yep.
Coming in for 2K, seeing a Dracul Mihawk and another 2K come out of hand there, it looks like.
Okay, and that's going to take us down to 4 cards in hand on Dofi's side.
4 cards, huh? 1 blocker.
No events either. And we still have all Dawn left on the Smoker side.
Yeah, could you go 10K, 10K? That's not necessarily a win. 2 10K attacks, 1 block, 1 pitch out. Yeah.
We actually have 2 blockers there. Sorry, misread that card.
Okay, and we do see the block.
Swinging 7K got the block there.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting, too. Recognizing, hey, we don't want to lose any cards in our hands. Okay, and Brandon checking which cards have already been expended, probably counting 2Ks to better formulate his math here. So we are just going to go reduce the cost of the Kuma.
2, 3.
And then we see another Kobe come down.
Sure. You clean up the board a little bit.
And now that's going to eat cards in his hand on this next attack.
And yeah, here we go.
So
big attack coming in.
This could potentially be the end of the game.
It's attack for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, plus the Smoker ability should make it 10.
Well, Smoker ability does not actually work in this instance. There were no 0 costs when he used it.
Oh, that's true, yes. Okay. But, yep, it looks like the Smoker player does come away with it. Brandon with the win for this round.
Yep.
That was a lot longer of a match than I really expected.
It was very interesting. So Doflamingo's ability uniquely is going to require that Smoker consistently put up respect for the board. Which puts him in a situation where, yes, he could go for face or he could go for board. You know, Brandon's control in the matchup where he just kept evenly swinging and making sure that he never once really overcommitted to a swinging on life, just recognizing, hey, I'm slightly ahead here. I will eventually get there, so let's just pace our way to the end of the game. Actually left him in a lot of situations where Doflamingo had to continue to spend all of their Dawn every turn, putting cards on the table.
Yes.
And even on the last turn of the game, having to, in order to commit to an Alpha Strike back, that means he had no Dawn left open for the Love Beam. So,
yeah, definitely hurts, but he kept up a pretty good battle. I think that was a pretty good match.
Absolutely, and the Kobe's in his hand also. You know, to note, you know, he was holding Luffy. 6-cost Luffy, so he could bounce something back to hand.
Yeah.
Borsalinos kept attacking every turn, so they were never in a position where Luffy felt like he could bounce something, you know, profitably. And Kobe, certainly don't want to block. You don't want to put that one back in your opponent's hand.
Definitely not.
All right, guys. Well, that is the end of round 2. We will be back for round 3 shortly. Thanks for tuning in.